Teaching your cat to behave, teaching your cat to live by your rules and your standards. It's truly at the foundation of everything, both good and bad, when it comes to feline ownership. Because let's be honest, nothing really works, and you could say nothing even matters, if your cat is misbehaving, especially if they're on the wrong side of right perpetually. But how do you solve the problem? How do you teach your cat no? Do you attempt to educate your cat like you would a child? Attempt to teach right from wrong in hopes of making them understand the difference? Or is it all about being on the defensive, the act of protecting your property and stopping the behavior, choosing to guard against rather than to verbally scold? Or is there in fact a third option, one of positive reinforcement, one where you play a game of misdirection, introducing a new method of quite possibly of a very similar action and rewarding the behavior? A game of do this rather than that, and make the benefits so great that your cat will never go back to their old ways? How to teach your cat no, and how to take back your authority as a loving and responsible cat owner. Interesting topic, very important topic, and I've got you covered. Stay tuned. Before we talk about the ways of teaching no and touching on those points that I mentioned in the introduction, it's very important to rule some things out. The reason or reasons for the bad behavior. Getting to the root cause is vital, it's essential. As an owner, you first have to know what you're dealing with because there is a possibility that the struggle is more than just your cat acting out and moving to the beat of their own drum. Health matters. Let's talk about them. It's important to note that not all bad behaviors, at least as most of us would define them, are due to a cat simply being a contrarian and acting out at random. The negative, well, it could be a response to something unfavorable, in this case, your pet's health. If your cat is not using the litter box, but rather leaving waste on the carpet, perhaps in a far corner of the home, if your pet is clawing the furniture, jumping on tables, constantly yowling both day and night, there could be something serious going on. First things first, make sure that your pet is okay and it's not just a case of your cat living up to some negative stereotype and acting up. Before anything else, make sure that your cat's actions are not a cry for help due to some level of physical pain and discomfort. Next up, make sure that your home, your living space, make sure that it is indeed set up for success. This is especially true if you are a novice cat owner. Your cat has only been with you for a short time and your pet is failing to behave. They're seemingly doing everything that you don't want them to do in the home. Similar in some ways to a health concern, your cat's negative actions and unwillingness to settle down and stop doing those negative activities could be your pet's response to the environment. If your cat is frustrated with the layout, acting out could be the response. If things just aren't adding up to your cat's standards, things can turn very sour in a great big hurry. This is especially true if your pet feels like they just don't have access to those proper essentials, their proper needs. It's important to make your home a cat-friendly home. Nice accommodations for you and other members of your family is one thing, but setting up quality accommodations for your cat is quite another. What you look for in a cozy living space and what your cat needs and desires, it's not quite the same. All right, now that we've taken care of those concerns and stressing the importance of both, what are you left with here, really? Say you've got a healthy cat now and your home is set up just fine and it's cat friendly, yet you've still got a mess on your hands with your cat's behavior. Let's first start off with a defensive posture. No verbal scolding, you just want your cat to stay away from that kitchen table, from your shoes. Whatever is going on, you just want it to stop. When it comes to taking a proactive defensive posture, this is all about running blocker, placing items out of reach. Making those cat-friendly things not so friendly. Kitchen table, block it. Put some aluminum foil on the table, perhaps some cookbooks. The goal here is to change the appeal, deny the access. Your shoes, put them in a different location. The sofa, try some air fresheners. Citrus is often a turn-off for felines. What about the flip side of those plastic carpet runners? The runners have a bit of grip, and that bottom side is what supplies that grip. Well, flip it over, yeah. That's not fun, not a pleasant place to sit and relax. There's an empty spot on the sofa when you or your family are not seated. The flip side of a runner could work. It actually wouldn't hurt to keep a clean carpet runner handy just so you can use it to fill that seat on your sofa. I could go on for days about the defensive. However, the layout of your home and what behavior you're attempting to stop will decide in large measure what you use and what you do. In some ways, this is like trying to stop a kid from reaching the cookie jar. As long as you take positive and safe measures, you can select your own defensive tactics. Next up, here we go. Education. Does it really work? When it comes to the teaching method, it's not impossible, but you will have your hands full. Here on the channel, I compare cats and kids quite often because so many things are in fact very, very similar. However, your cat isn't going to understand right from wrong. They're not going to understand the way that we understand the moral and the ethical side of things. Well, it's just not going to be there. Explaining to your cat to do the right thing and why it's important, yeah, you're just spinning your wheels right there. Your child, for example, will grow to understand, but your cat will just look at you and just want some more treats. Save the lessons for the child and take the route of positive rewards instead of education when it comes to your cat. Positive rewards over negative enforcement or punishment. The goal is to teach your cat by the standards you want while making sure that your cat respects you. There's a fine line between getting your cat to behave and maintaining that bond. Acts of discipline could lead to a cat to, well, it could lead them to turn their back on you while continuing to misbehave. Negative enforcement could cause your cat to view you as the enemy, and once that happens, things could go off the rails entirely. Then you've got a cat running amok with a person they don't trust. Ugh, that's a bad situation. When teaching your cat not to do something, never frame it from a right or wrong perspective. Understand that your goal isn't to make them understand, it's to get them to act a certain way. They don't have to understand. Why? Well, they just have to do it. When your cat is doing what you would deem as the good thing or the right thing, they have no idea. They're not doing it because it's right, they're doing it because it's beneficial, key word, beneficial to them. That is the key. I'll go into detail on that part of the equation here very soon. It's not about being good, it's about doing this rather than that. This is, in fact, where the rewards come in and the search for that alternative behavior or behaviors. Here's an example. Let's say your cat's clawing up your furniture. Well, don't yell, don't scream, don't point and tell your cat how bad they are. All that's going to do is scare your pet, cause them to fear you, and then when you're not looking, they'll just go back to scratching that sofa. Why? Well, because screaming and pointing means nothing to your cat when it comes to your sofa and that specific action. Yelling doesn't stop clawing because there's just no connection there. The positive solution with respect to your sofa, well, it could involve an alternative, a scratching post for your pet. Present the alternative, let your cat have a look, have a smell, have a scratch, and use that post. And when they use it, pet your cat and provide a treat. Rinse and repeat. Whenever they use the post, present the reward. Your cat will soon discover in short order that clawing the sofa comes with no incentive. There's nothing in it, no rewards. Once your cat realizes they get the good stuff, when they use that scratching post, the further distance they'll put between their claws and that sofa. When nothing is in it for a cat, they'll stop. It won't happen overnight, certainly, but a cat's natural instincts just won't allow them to churn away at just some random thing if there's no positive end game. It's so much easier to play on a cat's natural instincts and their sort of what's in it for me attitude and mindset than to scold them like a child and attempt to teach them lessons. With the furniture example, you didn't stop the clawing. You just redirected it to something suitable, something that works for you. Your cat keeps clawing on something that you now approve of, and you get to keep your furniture. Everyone is now happy. This is why positive reinforcement often wins out when attempting to teach a cat to stop certain behaviors. Now, while I do realize that finding alternatives to some actions are much easier than others, I do encourage you to seek them out. Whatever your cat is doing, attempt to redirect it to something that you'd find positive and suitable. It's so much easier to give your cat a grass is greener over here type of option than attempt to stop your cat from behaving a certain way without that positive alternative that is complete with those rewards, such as snack treats. Earlier on, I mentioned jumping on the table as well, jumping on the sofa. What about a cat tree in that case? If your cat likes to get high up and look around and that bookcase has become your cat's favorite place and your least favorite place for them to be, a cat tree saves the day. So much of teaching your cat no involves getting them to bite on the new yes that you have introduced. I don't get a treat and a pet on the head when I climb on the bookcase, but I get all of that when I jump up on this cat tree. Yeah. Who needs the bookcase anyway? That's the goal here. So, all of this to say my personal advice, depending on what this bad behavior is really all about, perhaps try some honest defense and protection to block it in the most literal sense. Block your cat from doing something that you don't want them to do. And couple it, whenever possible, with some means of positive reinforcement, a positive alternative. Give your cat an outlet, some options. If they take it, grant them a reward. Your cat will likely to continue to follow that trail that you want them to follow, just as long as there's an incentive at the end of that road. Remember, it's not about getting your cat to understand right from wrong. It's about getting your cat to do what you want, to follow your rules. In order to train a cat, you have to pretty much think like a cat. And if you provide a new option for their current behavior, and there's some positive reinforcement at the finish line, everyone will be happy. So, to the audience of Senior Cat Wellness, I'll now put the ball in your court. Your thoughts on this topic, any tips and points of advice for others within the community, any success stories that you'd like to share? Is there a method of teaching that I didn't mention that has become your personal go-to, especially if you've introduced new cats into your home over the course of time? Anything and everything, that comment section, as always, it's all yours. And if you enjoyed this content, it's quite a long video this go around, but please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. I'd certainly love to have you as a member of the Senior Cat Wellness family. And until next time, thank you so very much for watching, and I will talk to you later.